Now your name is?
Eveline.
Irene.
And Jarvie.
And I'm Fiona, and we're just having a Disability Studies poster exhibition. I'm just wondering, you guys, you're doing a graduate certificate in
Youth and community work.
And you're
social work student.
Social work student, first year. And you're
doing Masters of Human Services.
Master of Human Services. What a great group, because you've got such a range of courses. So why did you do this subject? Was it the only one on offer? Usually people say, it's the only elective on offer.
No, I chose it as an elective. It's not a compulsory subject for me.
Why did you choose it?
Because I think that at this point I'm looking to give a voice to people that really don't have a voice. And going into the course, I didn't know much about the course.
Yeah.
Coming out of it, it's exactly what I wanted to do.
Fantastic.
Because the words activism, advocate came up, and that's exactly
fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic. And your reason for doing the course?
Yeah, it's compulsory for me, but I'm glad that I took this course.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And it is compulsory, and it's interesting because you're doing a master's level, and so it's compulsory in that area, and also the undergraduate level. It's really important for thinking through not just notions of disability, but notions of difference. And you're doing the grad cert but not in disability studies.
No, it's in youth and community work.
Youth and community work.
Anne Ingemel suggested this subject because she knows how I feel about other issues of difference and mainly gender issues.
So look, this is a very informal chat, but I'm just wondering about what doing this course, what impact it has been for you, not just as a student training to take up a professional career, but what impact you might have had on you personally in terms of your approaches.
For me, from suffering from depression, chronic depression, it's actually made me accept it as a disability, where before I think I was kind of like non-accepting and
ambivalent.
Yes, very, because of the stigma, you know. Like,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right,
so
right.
It's just made me more aware of how some people have their disability on the outside and some have theirs on the inside. Protected, I don't know.
So it's been like a personal consciousness raising of how you define yourself.
And accepting it as part of who you are. It doesn't define you, but it's part of.
But it shapes of who you are. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What about you guys?
For me, I grew up in South Africa, and when I did this course, for me, I wasn't aware of the Western culture in terms of disability. Back home, because of the apartheid, we didn't leave. Disability was part of our life, and when I got here and I realized everything is so separated, it was a culture shock for me, and I realized that I actually, to understand it, compared racism to disability, and I found it traveled parallel.
Absolutely. And that's a really big insight, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a really big... And in fact, often we find that notion of racial difference, scientific racism is very similar to scientific ableism, this kind of notion of how we understand, not just difference, but how we understand deficiency and this ranking of human beings. But what sounds like also what you're saying is this kind of cross-cultural kind of understanding about where people with disabilities might have fit in South African society.
Yeah, because we were already segregated. We lived together. We did everything together. There was no separation. If you went to church, your entire family went. So if you were in a wheelchair, you came along. It was, and so that's what it was, a way of life for me. It wasn't where somebody stayed home to take care of the person. So for me, it was everyday life, normal life. And I got to Australia and I realized they don't do things like this. Yeah, it's completely different.
Cultural tradition.
Yeah.
And what about yourself?
I did my Master of Social Work in my country.
Yeah. What country are you from?
In India.
India.
And we never had disability studies in Master of Social Work.
Okay. What part of India?
South India.
Okay.
And there are millions of disabled people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we never had a subject for social work in disability studies.
Right.
And disability is like if once you're disabled, you're like abandoned.
Absolutely.
You can't be a part of society. But after taking this course, now I understand that disability, there's no such thing called disability. It's just the attitude. And disabled people, the so-called disabled people, they can significantly contribute to the society.
And you know, and of course, I'm an adjunct professor in Sri Lanka, so I should say that the South Asian region is of interest to me. Of course, the major causes of disability in developing countries is malnutrition, war, and high risk, unsafe jobs. Yeah, so and it's interesting you were saying that you had this opportunity here. I should say to you that NALSA, which is in Bangalore, has a critical disability studies program there. But that's so. Have you noticed any differences in the treatment of disabled people here?
There's lots of myths associated with disability in India. If you have a disability, maybe due to a curse or due to some spell.
Yeah, sure.
But here there's no such misconception.
Yeah. Although, you know, interestingly, I mean, it's not an unusual situation where people say, you know, what sin have you committed, or have your mother and father committed sin? So I think sometimes we still have that kind of relationship between people. Do people deserve disability or undeserving? This kind of obsession with how did you get your disability and things. How do you think this course might shape your professional practice into the future? I know it's a hard question at this stage, but
well, I think
you can just jump in and
that's a hard one because I don't actually know where I'm going to end up
Ah,
in my work.
okay.
I'm doing this purely as a personal development thing.
Yeah.
But
With me, I'm looking at being able to be a voice.
Yeah.
Since all the articles that I've read is really, the one that stood out really for me was this boy that acquired a disability, and then people just look at the physical
That's
part
right.
and they don't realize the person is fine. I mean, they're able to communicate and do everything else, and they ignore that part. And I'm thinking that I would like to, you know, be part of that change.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great.
To me, if I had not taken this course, and if I go to a job and see a disabled, I would see him like, oh, poor disabled fellow.
Exactly.
What a pity to be disabled, and I am a social worker here to help you. But now, I'm not going to pity them. I know that I am going to learn from them, and they are going to contribute.
So it's been really transformative then,
Yes.
looking about, you know, that disability is about bringing out that kind of bigger message about relationships. Your reflection, I mean, all of you reflected on your own personal experience and looked at how that might, how that notion of disability can teach us about dealing with people that maybe we're unfamiliar with, that concept of difference. And also dealing with the fact that sometimes we don't know all the answers to situations. Is there any final words you want to say? I mean, may not. I mean, it's.
I am so honored to have done this course. I feel I've grown so much. The people that I've met for the first time, we spoke the same language and walked the same walk. I am so
That's great.
great to
Great.
yeah.
And I must say the selection of the movies is always hard. You've got 13 weeks, but to try and find different voices, a range of experiences.
that everyone can relate
Anyone
to.
hopefully that people can relate to, beyond the impairment issues, to kind of get people to unpack the experience of disability.
We're getting there. It's a long road, but I think we're getting there because there's more. As long as there's more awareness and more education, that's the only way to go. When it's, you know, generally when you don't know something, you are afraid.
Yeah.
And the moment you know,
Yeah.
you're not afraid
Yeah,
anymore.
that's great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you again.